want to talk a little bit about guilt and grief and emotions. And this has come up for me quite a bit over the last 7 years, I guess, but especially a couple years ago, and it's been coming up freshly with some clients. First off, let's just talk about what are emotions. Emotions are just information, something that we feel, and you can equate it to a compass. It's like, am I going towards my true north, towards my alignment? And anytime that you make a decision or you find yourself in a situation or things don't feel good, it's just like information telling you that, like, this is out of alignment. This isn't what I want. This doesn't feel good, and it isn't meant for me, and it's not healthy or balanced or whatever for me. So we place our perception on a situation based on our feelings and maybe our thoughts, our knowing. But there are no good emotions or bad emotions. Guilt is not a bad emotion. It's just information telling you that the thing that you did wasn't really in alignment. Grief is not a bad emotion. It's actually a powerful, transformative emotion that helps you transform your life into a new creation, rising from the ashes of a loss, maybe. Anger is not a bad emotion. It is sacred. It's fire. It transforms and creates. It destroys, and from those ashes again, rising. Happiness is not a good emotion. In fact, happiness can be the root of a limiting belief. You think about, I was so happy when this happened, and then he left. And now I walk around the world thinking that everyone's going to leave me. If we become attached to that emotion, it becomes a negative one, even though classically happiness is a quote unquote good emotion. So there are no good emotions, there are no bad emotions. They're just emotions. And we need to feel them. We need to feel them and let them move through us. If we try to hang on to it, this is good, I want it to stay forever, then we become attached and it becomes baggage, whether it was happy or sad or whatever other emotion. It becomes baggage, it becomes a problem because we're hanging on to it and we're storing it inside, and it's not meant to stay stagnant and within us, it's meant to move through us. So same thing with guilt and regret and shame and whatever the negative emotion is. So specifically, I'm thinking back to this time in my life where I had an awakening, and I realized for the first time in a long time that I was living my life in a way that was really disempowered and really destructive for my soul. I was people pleasing. I was living my life for everyone else. I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do, and I was never asking myself truly what I want. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, such a relief. I can finally ask myself what I want. And oh my God, I haven't asked myself this for so long. And feeling guilt and regret and grief for this life that I had lost, this life that I perceived that I had lost, that I had not lived because I was so busy people pleasing. Though that emotion, that information is very powerful and very helpful. And it is not the point of the experience. We check in with ourselves and we feel the guilt and we feel the grief and we let it move through us and recognize, like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to go back into a people-pleasing, disempowered state living for other people ever again. Thank God for that lesson. Took me 7 years of a relationship in a city and a career and a blah, 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 blah that I didn't really want. It was a expensive lesson. And I'm sure as hell going to get every penny that I spent, every minute that I spent out of that. The ROI will be golden, right? If I claim it and I take that lesson and utilize the lesson in my present moment. I won't do that again. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take action towards the reality that I want to create. I'm going to ask myself for the first time since I was a little kid, what do I want? Not what do they want, not what does society want from me, not what do my parents expect from me, not what does my partner want from me or my in-laws, which are probably all perceptions and made up in my head anyway. Instead, what do I want? What do I want? What do I know is good for me? What lights me up? So your emotions are your compass. And when you come back to your compass, you can align to your own true north. You can feel your way into your alignment. And you trust your gut, you trust your intuition. Knowing comes from here. Feeling comes from here. Thinking comes from here, right? And so trust your gut, trust your body, trust your inner intuition, your inner guidance system, all the same thing, to make the decisions on your path. The regret, the negative emotions, as we might call them, is just information, and the whole point is to come back to yourself. It's like, hey, you're out of alignment, come back to yourself. It's not to wallow in the negative emotion. It's to come back to yourself. If you think about meditation, you sit down to meditate. The point of meditation is not to remain focused 100% of the time. This is a myth. The point of meditation is to come back to your focus over and over and over and over again. If you sit down in meditation and you have 100% laser focus the entire time, it's worthless. Now, we could have an argument about that. Like, I'm sure there's some benefits still. However, the point of meditation is to flex the muscle, is to come back to your focus, is training your brain to come back to your focus. Unless, yes, you can keep that focus longer and longer and longer, and you can build the muscle in that way. And at the end of the day, we want the rep. We want the rep of coming back to the focus. In order to come back to the focus, we also have to lose the focus. So we lose the focus and we come back to the center. We come back to our focus. Same thing with what is our emotion doing for us? It's telling us that we've lost alignment and we need to come back to alignment. Come back to ourselves. So your negative emotion is your compass telling you, reminding you where your true north is. What alignment is for you. Capital Y, you. Your soul self, you. Let those emotions move through you. Don't hang on to them. Let your emotions move through you so that you can get the information and you can realign yourself and you can continue creating from this centered place, from this empowered, aligned, authentic place. And your life will continue to bloom and flourish and give off its radiant vibrance. And it'll feel so good.